Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Been a bit of a long time, but just showing you what's happened with my cabling here. This wire here has managed to get stuck underneath the, I don't know if I get you a bit closer than that. This is the horn, and it's managed to go in and get caught under the bearings. I hope you can see in there them. That's the broken bit of the cable. So what I need to do is just drop the forks down, release the cable, and then obviously put the forks back in again. So what we need to do is to start with the headlight, the speedo, the handlebars off. So what I'm going to do is there's two screws, one over the side on the headlight and one that side, and there's one single screw in the middle. We need to undo the brake and the speedo from there and just poke the cables up. The brake cable will need to come out completely because the handlebars are coming off, not completely off. This one can just be pushed down afterwards because it can stay in the forks. That's the speedo one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the I do this. So I'll take off the headlight and the speedo out. Don't need to touch none of the electrics in there. Bit annoying that it's got caught under there, but it is what it is. I don't think I can move that. I could cut it and try and pull it out, because after all I only just joined them anyway, because they were just about long enough to get into the horn anyway. I could probably see if that will come out by moving it left and right. I'm just going to cut away while I take off the headlight and the speedo out. I've disconnected the front brake. That's going to have to come all the way out the forks, and this one speedo can actually be left in, doesn't need to be disconnected, because if I just grab hold of the camera and I'll show you in here, I've just pulled it down so that it's level with the top of the forks, because what we're going to be doing is pulling off the headset, going back and putting some rags basically around here so it can't damage it. Right, so that cable is going to be pulled out the top like so. Go. What I need to do now is just to put some rags on here, and what I do is I just put some tape basically, and then I can pull that off. So I'll cut away while I do that. Right, so you get the idea that basically it's going to go down on here, so I'm going to have to pull this out and just lean it back, and because it's got a rag on it, it should stop it damaging the paint. Just going to pull the headset up now. Now that's the reason why that's come straight over, and I've got the rag under there so it can't damage anywhere. So what we've got to do now is undo the locking nut, and just try and drop the forks just a bit. So because I've got the cables in, you can't get the tool in there, so I have to use a hammer and a screwdriver basically just to loosen that off. Not the best way to do it, but it's good enough. Right, so I just knocked it with the hammer slightly and the screwdriver. This can come undone. This should come loose, which is a locking nut. Let's put them safe on the seat. So all we've got to do now is just loosen this one off. And again, you can do this with the screwdriver and just hammering it. I use 5-hole to get in there and do that, because basically what I want is, I don't really want because they're loose bearings, I'll explain it in a bit. I don't want all the loose bearings going in the frame. So because this is a bit fiddly, I'm going to start this and then I'll cut back in again. It's under weight or pressure pulling down the forks. You have to use this basically to loosen it off. I'm only hoping that I can loosen that off enough that I can get that trap wire out. I'd say it's impossible to do it with one hand. So I'm going to loosen that off a bit more. You can see me turning it with the tool. And then I'll cut back in. So I've managed to loosen it off to get this cable out. What I'm going to do is cut them down and redo them again. I might put a bit of sheath on them this time so that they can't go up inside the bearings. They weren't up there before. So all I've got to do now is the reverse of what I've been doing already. These are a pig because they're all separate ball bearings, top and bottom. They're not caged, so you have to pack them with grease, and you know, it's nice and easy to move. There is no tube up in a GS in the actual frame, so it's just, it lines up through this bracket here and a bracket at the top up there. So although I've still got mine in, and hopefully you can see where the grease is being pulled out from where the cables got caught just under there. Put your hand in and wipe a bit more off, and there's your limit stops, one there and one on the other side. And if you can see the forks, hopefully you can, sorry about this, I'm trying to trying to get the camera to go in places where it won't fit. So there's your stop on the right and there's your stop on the left on the outside of the forks, just there. So that hits the stop on the left and the right. So what I can do now is do up my bearings again and cut back in again. Well, that's only taken a few seconds. I haven't put the locking nut on yet, but what you need to do is it needs to turn nice left and right. And I don't know if you heard it bang, that's the stop on the frame and that's the stop on the frame. What you need to do is grab the forks, and there you go. No, if you hear a clicking noise, they need tightening a tad more, because I can hear a clicking noise on it, like a knock noise. I've just tightened them up a tad more. And then I'm grabbing hold of the forks again and under the wheel. That's perfect. Turning nice and easy. And there's no knocking now. That's perfect. So all I've got to do now is basically put it back together again. The handlebars back on. Clean all this rubbish off, and then I can rewire the horn. You can see how short the cable is up there. But what I also did as well is just put some concrete under there, so it lifts it up. I could have dropped the forks with that. As it happens, I could have got away with one, but I wasn't sure if that cable would come out again or not. And because of the virtue of the cable being long, that's why it's got trapped up in the forks. But I can take all that away, cut back in again. Right, so there's a pinch bolt under there, and what we need to do is align the centre of this, or the mark on the top, with the centre of the wheel so we steer correctly. But as you can see, steering is lovely, no problem at all there. What I've done is I've taken off the stand, basically the concrete blocks I had it lifted up on, and all I have to do now is line that up. And it's better to do this with your feet holding the wheels in line, and then just looking, tightening it, and then just checking that when you move it that the wheel's in the centre. It's only pinched tight at the moment, it's not been bolted up. And we need a spanner and a socket set to tighten up, so I'm just going to cut away again and do that. Right, so I've tightened up the pinch bolt, and I'm quite happy that that's level. A bit dirty around here. It's turning nice and free. Yeah, and we've got no play, so all we've got to do now is put the headlight back in, the speedo back in. This cable's going to have to go back in again because it's bent. What I suggest you do is just push it up inside I'll pull the outside one up until it's level, till the inside's level with that. Just because I've got one, I've decided to change the whole cable. So I've pulled it all the way out. It's quite easy to feed up again. I'm going to need some grease. So like with all cables, you have to lubricate them, apart from the nylon lined ones, which don't use on GS anyway, but it's a little bit dirty, but I will clean that up. But it is a brand new cable, it's just been in my collection for years on end, waiting for this day to be used. So what we do is we get a bit of grease on our fingertips, run it all the way up, feed the cable in, like so. It should go in if I get the holes correct. There. We have to have a look through the hole. I can't see it. Down. There you go. That's pushing up and not down. So that cable is now here, and I'm going to put a bit more grease on that. Needs a bit over the top, but make sure you grease the ferrule and all on the end. Then we'll get the new outer. Stick the inner through the outer, like so. Rub it up and down a few times, get the grease in. And all we need to do is just poke it down beside the speedo so it comes out the bottom, which it has done. Push the cable in, like so. Guide that through that way. That's it. We also need to push the speedo up, like so. Right. Excuse me, I'm pulling the inner in. Need to push it back a bit. That's it. So what I'm going to do now is put the lever back on up here, put a bit of grease on that. Here comes the lane, bang on time. Right, so feed that in there, push it in. On here we have a spring washer, like so, and we can put back our pivot pin, and again just put a tab of grease on there like I've done. There you go. Get a screwdriver in there. What I'll probably do is I'll wheel it into the garage because I'm going to get soaked otherwise. Right, so I've tightened up the pinch bolt. I'm quite happy that that's level. A bit dirty around here. It's turning nice and free. Yeah. And we've got no play. So all we've got to do now is put the headlight back in, the speedo back in, this cable is going to have to go back in again because it's bent. What I suggest you do is just push it up inside or pull the outside one up until it's level, till the inside's level with that. Just because I've got one, I've decided to change the whole cable. So I've pulled it all the way out. It's quite easy to feed up again. I'm going to need some grease. We have to have a look through the hole. I can't see it. Down. There you go. That's pushing up and not down. So that cable is now here, and I'm going to put a bit more grease on that. Needs a bit over the top, but make sure you grease the ferrule and all on the end. Then we'll get the new outer. Stick the inner through the outer, like so. Rub it up and down a few times, get the grease in. And all we need to do is just poke it down beside the speedo so it comes out the bottom, which it has done. Push the cable in, like so. Guide that through that way. That's it. We also need to push the speedo up, like so. Right. Excuse me, I'm pulling the inner in. Need to push it back a bit. That's it. So what I'm going to do now is put the lever back on up here. Put a bit of grease on that. And there. What I'll probably do is I'll wheel it into the garage because I'm going to get soaked otherwise. Right, so I'm in the garage because of the rain, which is now decided to stop, but that's sod's law. So we've got our handlebars tightened. I've got our brake reconnected again up there and working. Just spin the wheel. That's perfect. I have got the uprated sit brake shoes in the front and standard original ones in the back. I'm not sure what difference it makes, but they do. You know, it's locked. There's no play in the there's no play in the bearings here, and it moves lovely and free. In fact, it's well balanced there, isn't it? It's not falling from one side to the other. So what I've got to do now is put the headlight back on. I've got I noticed that the speedo cable has broken off the little speedometer bulb one, so I'm going to have to, I am actually going to have to join that cable, which is a pain, but I've got to do these anyway. So I'm going to get my soldering iron out and cut these down and redo them again. In fact, I think they probably would if I just put connectors on as they would have been. You know, there is enough there. Maybe I was being over confident, and that way if they are short, they're not going to get stuck in there. So I've just got to go in my shed and get some bits and bobs and cut these out and resolder some new ones in. So I've cut off the excess cable, and what I'm doing now is I'm just waiting for the soldering iron to warm up so that I can tin the cable. Right, so I've cleaned up the tip, left it on at the meantime. That should start burning in a sec. So that the solder will stick. So what I need to do now is Turn that one round without burning my hand. Put it on the cable, the wire, press it home, and that should solder itself. Let's get this down. So again, I've just got to tin this. Probably about that size will do. It's brown, but I haven't got any brown, so what you do is get some heat shrink, put it over the top so it covers the whole lot, and just run up and down. You can use a naked flame on this if you want. A lot of people use a match or whatever. There we go. That was slightly too big, but it still does the job. So let me get the soldering iron disconnected. And because we poked our cable up again for our speedo, I can put the speedo back. Right, so I've put it back on. I've put the terminals on as you saw. Connected it up, power on. There you go, works. So all I've got to do now is tighten these screws up, and because the cable's short this time and I haven't extended it, it shouldn't get caught in the bearings in future. How they got up there I don't know. It must have got caught in the like I say, left and right locking position, pushed it up over there and got caught in. It was just weird how it was coming on and off. You know, you were driving, or even when you start up, it would go click, click, you know, bib, 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 solid bib. Move the steering, then it would go off, move it again, and it would come back on again. And this has just developed over the last couple of weeks, so first opportunity I've had to have a look at it, so it's not a massive job. It would have been to take the forks out, to be honest with you, because of the pain in the arse with all the bearings. It is a right pain because you have to pack it with grease, put them in. A lot of people put their bearings on the top and try and poke in the forks. I always do it afterwards. So put your fork in the stem up and then put your small roller bearings on the top afterwards. Let's see if we've still got a bib. Perfect. Right, thanks for watching. I've just got to put the headlight back on again, and job's a good one.